Mark, I'd like to talk to you about what to do if someone is in an accident, whether they're at fault or not. We have all these memories of people saying, no, keep your car on the road, take your car off the road. Do you always ever do that? Or let's start with that. If you're hit from behind or you hit someone, should you leave your car where it is so the police can find?
Yeah, it's a great question because sometimes people are just overwhelmed. It may be the first time they've been involved in a traffic crash before and they're uncertain what to do. They may be hurt and they may need medical help, but law enforcement nowadays wants you to move your car out of the traffic way or the lane if you can do so. Moving it safely to a parking lot or someplace where traffic is no longer impeded is something they would like for you to do. There's really no reason anymore, I'm not even sure there was a reason long ago, to leave your car in a traffic lane. If you leave in the traffic lane, all you're doing is inviting another crash. And so get it off the road, into the median, into a parking lot where you can safely await the arrival of law enforcement.
I think the thought was that they couldn't investigate the crash properly if the car wasn't where it was, but they have their other ways of doing that.
Well, if there's skid marks, the skid marks are there. And they're going to be there if you move the car or you don't. The damage to the cars is going to be there, whether you move the cars or not. So nowadays, I think safety concerns for other motorists on the highway override any concerns about physical evidence at the scene. But all in all, the physical evidence that's there is going to be there whether you move the cars or not. So why not move the cars to a safe place?
Okay. So after the accident, assuming that you're not really hurt, the first thing that you or someone with you should do is, of course, call 911.
Yeah, you probably want to report the accident and get an exchange of driver information from the other driver. You know, a warning flag or a red flag that you should look out for is if the other driver is asking you not to call law enforcement or to not trade information. There may be a reason they're asking for law enforcement not to come.
Like?
They may not have a valid license, they may not have insurance, the vehicle may not be properly registered. There are all kinds of reasons why a person may ask that law enforcement not be called.
Or they may have been drinking or already have insurance that's sky high that they don't want to.
That's a long list.
Yeah.
But you should.
But there's never a good reason is what I hear you saying.
No, I don't think there's ever a good reason not to call law enforcement, particularly in any kind of accident where there's significant property damage, and always, if anybody's hurt in an accident, always law enforcement should be called. It may be different in a parking lot at a supermarket where there's minor damage to both vehicles, but all in all, always exchange driver information. Look at the other person's driver's license. Copy that information down. Make sure the person on the driver's license where you're copying down the information is actually the person who was driving the other car. Make sure that the registration they give you is for the tag number that is on their car. Make sure that the insurance card that they give you is an insurance card for the person who is on the driver's license or the car. So those are all things you need to be getting to exchange information if insurance claims are going to be made.
You know, people don't think that far to be an investigator themselves with all the items that you just listed.
No, they really don't. And there's no need to make a list, but hopefully when people see these segments, they can remember that some of the things that we suggested that they need to do. And one of the most important things we've talked about today is getting your car out of a moving lane of traffic if you are involved in a motor vehicle crash.
And always call law enforcement?
I think so, particularly where there's property damage, and absolutely if somebody is injured. I mean, that is one thing. It's a matter of common sense. If you're in the parking lot at the grocery store and it's just a bump, you may just want to exchange information. But I tell my clients, if you're involved in a traffic crash on the highway, always call law enforcement.
Because injuries that don't seem that bad when you're in shock at that time can end up really being difficult later.
Well, that's a great statement, and I'll segue that into a question, because sometimes, it often happens that people think they're going to be okay. They may be sore after an accident and they think they're fine, and they may even get out and the other party may say, "Are you okay?" And most folks say, "Yeah, I think so," or "Yeah, I am." But the pain doesn't go away, and you wait and wait and wait, and weeks later you're hoping the pain's going to go away and it doesn't, and you go to a doctor weeks after the crash. Well, now the insurance company's going to say, "You're making things up." So if you're hurt in an accident, regardless of whether you think you're going to be okay or not, you should give your doctor a call and go by and be seen. If you can't get in quickly, you may want to go into a walk-in clinic, or if it's bad enough, if you have a serious injury, of course, you should go to the emergency room right away.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.